You are now tuned into the Real Rap Radio Show. I'm your host, Walil Archer on Downtown Hot Radio. I'm a special guest of Cletus McMurtry. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So glad to have you on my show today.
It's so glad to be here. I thank you and your audience for this opportunity.
Love it. And let us know the title of your book.
The book is called Is That Really in the Bible? And it has a little controversy, of course, but yeah, it's kind of gives away the title that there's some Bible searching going on. So
That's, that's an excellent title. How did you come up with that?
actually, it's one of those things that from the same source that I got most of my information from, and that was the Lord. That's the title that came up was right on, just pops into your head. It's not like you hear this voice. It's just sometimes you're thinking about something, and then it clicks. Something pops in, and so it's been the title ever since. Actually, before I started writing the book. So, is that really in the Bible? And I think you'll see as we go through this how it fits.
Now, what inspired you to write this book?
A long time ago, because I am a Vietnam vet and I spent 32 years in the military, in the Army and the Army National Guard as a helicopter instructor pilot. I just a few years ago, I said, I don't think I've ever thanked the Lord for keeping me safe, keeping me alive and uninjured. And the mission we flew was very, very dangerous. And so I'm very lucky to be here. There's been other events in my life that are in the book that also someone has been watching over me and keeping me to this point. And that's when I decided, well, maybe I should just thank the Lord, of course. And then I said, if there's anything I can do for you, since you do so much for me, just let me know. Because I'd always heard that he would never give you more than what you're capable of doing. But when I woke up one morning about 3:30 in the morning, and suddenly I knew that I was supposed to write a book. I thought there had to be some kind of a mistake. It's like, Lord, I don't write. And when I in school, high school, then they said, tell about what happened in your summer vacation or whatever, but make it 400 words. It was like, I only got about 20 or 25. What am I going to do for the rest of it? Anyhow, but the great part about it is what I needed to know, he helped me. He helped me so I could write the book for him. And so what you're getting is information that I didn't have before. And that's why I wrote the book.
Okay. Now, what do you want the readers to take away from reading the book?
Basically, I want them to know that over the last several decades, there's been I don't know the reason, but there's been a lot of new versions of the Bible. When in the military, for each aircraft, it has its own operator's manual that is for that aircraft, say the UH-1 Huey, okay? Every UH-1 Huey in the Army and in the inventory, and whether it's Army or Air Force, wherever, each one will have its own, what we call operator's manual or -10. Every one of those is exactly the same. If there's ever a change that they want to make to it, they will make the change and they will send out a copy of that page. And you are to take your page out of the -10 or operator's manual, insert the new page, And then right on the front of the cover, the change, the number, and the date you did that. Okay, so there in history back years ago, there was pretty much one standard Bible, the King James version, and that was printed in 1611. And King James went to quite a bit of effort to make sure that he got the very best translation. You see, that the Bible was never written in English, nor was it written in Greek or Latin or any other language. It was translated to those languages. And so the English Bible has been translated from Greek and Latin and from Hebrew. One of the things that I had heard, and I can't remember where I heard it, but it was originally written in Old Hebrew. Now, the English language has kind of a history like that. We also have Old English. You ever tried to read Shakespeare? Shakespeare is Old English. And now we have what we have today. The thing is that there's not a lot, or from what I understand, there's no more people who are experts in translating Old Hebrew into Greek or any other language. But we have a lot of people that have given a lot of effort. So what I found, or what I was shown, is that some of the wording has been changed in the newer versions. If you go to the very back of the Bible, to what am I thinking of? The last book in the Bible.
Revelations.
Revelations, yes. It says the revelations of Jesus Christ. But the very last paragraph has a part where it says, I'm going to try to get this real quick for us here, that basically, no one is to add any words to this book, and no one is allowed to change or delete or take away any words from this book. And it gives you some of the things that will happen to those people that do that. And so if you change a word, you're actually taking a word out and putting a new word in. In some cases, they've deleted the whole word altogether. And just one word can be worth millions of dollars. And so that's kind of where I started, was thinking about if they changed one word or deleted a word, how many more have they done? And there now, the last total, there's like 129 Bibles out there, all a little different. So for me to find that what I was raised and taught, and that I taught, was that there's should be just one Bible, because the operator's manual is basically our Bible for that aircraft. And if there's a Bible for man, there should be one that's just one Bible. Whether you're Catholic or Protestant, it doesn't. We're all Christians, and we all follow the same Christian, what I call a Christian God. He's not a Christian, unfortunately, but Jesus was born as a Jew or Hebrew, and he grew up that way. But in the book, I explain how he became God of the Christians. So you got to read that part. I think you'll find it very interesting. And yet some will say that's not how it is. And I say, okay, here's my proof. Now show me yours. And so I have to then come back and meet the pastor that I'm talking with at a later date. And we end the meeting, and we never seem to get back together. But the interesting part is that most people that read the Bible uh, they think it's hard to read. And it's hard to read because they don't understand that there's different parts of it that you have to understand, that they're not exactly the same, like the story of creation. There are, in fact, two stories of creation. I'm going to go out. Can I ask you if you're a Christian? I believe you're a Christian, correct?
Actually, I'm not. I'm Muslim.
I'm sorry, you're a Muslim. Oh, this is going to be interesting then. Okay.
But I
That's
don't. But I don't want to focus on me because it's about
no,
you.
no, no, no. Won't focus on you. We're going right back to the Bible. In the story of creation, the first story of creation, it starts out with, in the beginning, in the beginning, I should say, it starts out with, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. What's Elohim? I had no idea. So I had to go look it up. Elohim is the word that you use, it's plural for gods. So in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth. I just noticed something the other day. The old King, the King James Version that was printed in 1611 says heavens. It's got the word heaven as plural. The new version that I just looked at, still the King James Version, but the word heaven doesn't have an S. Why not? Who took that out? You see, between 1611 and 2019, it's interesting how that changed. And there's several other Bibles that, I don't go through them all because it takes a long time. And I can't remember which one, but, I don't write those things down as much. But so the question then becomes, the newer Bibles now, the New King James and other new, the Living Bible and a number of them, it begins in the beginning, God created the heavens or heaven and earth. Why did they change it from gods to God? Well, here's what you have to understand about the first chapter in the Bible. The first chapter in the Bible is the chapter of creation of this planet and all the things that are on it. If you can set that and understand that, then it makes you understand a little bit better that the very second chapter is the second story of creation. But this creation is by a specific God who creates Adam and Eve. In the first story of creation, it goes and I'm not going to go into what the book does on how they created the planet and how they stars and the animals and all that stuff, because that was what they knew at that time, and they never knew the planet was like it is, a sphere or a round, and so they wrote the best that they knew. Okay, it gets to chapter 6 or verse 6. Okay, chapter 1, verse 6, where man, or other Bibles say humans, were created. All right, if these humans, because we're on this planet and it says gods and each God has their own heaven, then I suddenly started thinking about people different. What makes people different that you can see? And I realized that, well, we have people that have brown eyes. We have people who have blue eyes, hazel eyes, green eyes. We have people with red hair, black hair, brown hair, blonde hair. And we have people with different color skins. We have white, we have black, we have brown, we have the island people, we have the people that usually say is olive color is the Asian people. And then what else makes them different? Look at their facial features. You'll see the white people don't all have the same facial features. So that tells me that that group, that in the beginning, that group had all the same facial features. They were not in contact with another God's group that had different facial, but still were white with blonde or brown hair. Here's a good example. I think you'll understand. Where do the Aborigines come from?
Not sure.
Yeah. Well, they have a God, and their God, they didn't come across any kind of frozen bridge. And the frozen bridge thing to me is there's no way those people during that time could go from Russia to what's called Alaska now on an ice bridge. They didn't have the equipment. They didn't have the ability to take any food with them that would last that long. And the biggest thing is they didn't have a compass. How do you keep going east if you're in a snowstorm or if it's a cloudy day? Because it's vast ice. You don't see all of those things. So I start asking questions about things like that. Things just have to make common sense to me. And to travel hundreds and hundreds of miles with no way to heat up anything, you couldn't carry that much firewood with you, and so those people would die before they even got really started. So that's what I was exposed to. That's what I was given to tell other people, that yes, there were other gods, and yes, they did have their own people, and they placed them in different parts of the world or the planet. Let me go with planet. Now, they also told those people, and it tells us that in the Bible, because it says that God created the people in their image and in their likeness. So now, if you look at the people, you get an image and a likeness of what their God looked like. That's why when we look at people in the Middle East, or let's say Israeli people, they have brown skin, black hair, brown eyes, and their facial features and what have you are what their God looked like. And so that kind of does that make sense to you? I don't want to mislead or cause people, but I just want people to think about that. Think about what you know, and then think about what I'm saying that's in the book, and think with your own brain. Go back in time. You can take somebody else's word for whatever it is, and you can challenge anything that I say. Just bring your facts with you. That's all I ask. So it goes on now. We get into the second story of creation. And in the second story of creation, it introduces us to one of those gods, Yahweh Elohim. Now, you're going to find that some Bibles don't have that anymore. They just have the word God. Why would you do that? Why would you take God's name, God the Father, and just put just plain God? Because he should get the credit. Well, I kind of think they did that when people will say, well, he has a big G. There's a big G and a little g for gods. Big G is Yahweh, and the little g are all little. No. There's no difference between the status of God. God is a God. The reason they use a big G is so that you know they're talking about Yahweh. And when they use the smaller g instead of capitalized, you're talking about a different God. Even Yahweh talks several times in the Bible about different gods. And so trying to explain this in a way, hopefully, that makes sense, if any time you think I'm not headed in the right direction or something doesn't, anytime it doesn't sound right to you, let me know. And I do that because I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So we have this God. Now, he's going to create Adam, only Adam. In the first story of creation, man and woman were created, and they were told to multiply and subdue the earth. In that case, the earth could mean just the land, but since they're all over the planet, it means to seduce, what did I say? Anyhow, take over the planet, pretty much. And that's going to take thousands and thousands of years. So we have this group, and then we have a new start with a new man, Adam. Why was Adam even created? Most people, they'll tell me they read the Bible, and that's when I read it like a manual. So each word means something to me. So when it says he was created because no one had been created to till the earth. Oh, so we have people that are hunter-gatherers before. That's what the other people were. They lived by areas that had plenty of water and plenty of food from trees or whatever. So there hadn't been anybody who to till the land. So that's why God created Adam. And then he takes him from where he created him and places him in this garden. This garden is in the east of Eden. We know of it as the Garden of Eden. And it tells about where that is located, where the four rivers come together. And so it's also protected. It's protected from other people. And I'll get to those. I'll get back to the other people because others have been created. And you know the story about, here's something else. In this garden, there are two special trees. In the first story, there wasn't any trees that were special. There wasn't the tree of life or the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It doesn't mention that. The only time they're mentioned is in the second story. And Adam is told, you can eat of all that's in the garden, all the trees, but not from these two. And time goes by. Again, we only have Adam, but time goes by, and pretty soon Adam gets, I guess what I would say is lonely. It's like, look, Lord, all the birds, all the animals, everything has a mate. That, and there's others of them. Why am I all alone? Why don't I have a mate? Now, I won't go into the story of Lilith. That's not here in this. However, then he takes Adam, puts him to sleep, takes a rib out, and creates Eve. Eve is going to be what the Bible calls a helper. And a helper doesn't mean they work for somebody. A helper means that he's got somebody he can talk with, be with, enjoy life with, and that kind of. So the story, I'm going to try and keep this a little shorter, but the story goes on. You have
we have about 2 minutes left. We have about 2 minutes left.
Oh, already? Okay. Well, then the story goes into Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel. Cain is forced out to where he has to go to another land. He's worried that on the way he is going to be attacked if the others know what he had done. So God marks him. Who are the others that are mentioned in the second? They are the people that were created in the first story on the sixth day. He goes to Nod. He meets a woman. He marries the woman, and they have daughters. Who is that woman? Again, you have to go back to the first story. So then they have granddaughters. He has granddaughters. For him to have granddaughters, his daughters are going to have relations with other men. Again, these are the people where they were at. that was stored in the first story. So this is how the book works: is that I kind of pick things apart because I want it to make sense. I want it to be able for people to go, okay, now that makes sense. I don't cover the entire Bible. I don't go through Kings and all those other ones, but there's a really good chapter on the tithe, and that's where you're going to find the missing word. You need to get the book either on either a book or on tape or on audio, and you can get those at Barnes and Noble and Amazon. So get yourself a copy. We are currently working on getting my website up and a Facebook page. So those, look for those from now or from time to time. And when they come up, you'll be able to ask me questions. And so anything you have for a question.
No, because unfortunately we out of time. I wish we had more time.
Oh, sorry. Well, doggone it.
But that was great information. That was definitely great information.
Well, thank you. And again, I want to thank you and your audience. And I hope they take the time to say, why not? Or why, what is, and then find out. Check it out. Don't, I think Jesus said somewhere, and I go into his name later in the book, but check everything and keep the good. I'll leave you with that.
Thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So that's my time today on the Real Rap Radio Show. And I see you guys next time on the Real Rap Radio Show with Walil Archer on Downtown Hot Radio. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.